But what is this higher or inner immortal self that has all these experiences?
I might ask back in my turn, what is it that now sits before me? What do you feel yourself to be at this moment? Are you your physical body? Well, you will say, I certainly need a physical body to get around, but are you that physical body? Well, ultimately, you will say, when closely analyzed, you will say no. What I feel myself to be is this consciousness which is speaking, talking, listening, and experiencing, and so forth. It's certainly using a physical body, but it's not that. Are you your emotions? Well, I certainly experience my emotions, and when they're strong, I can't say they are my emotions because they take complete possession of me. When I'm angry, I'm just angry, and that's it. But nonetheless, it's the consciousness which I feel myself to be, which is essential. Emotions come and go and pass. Am I my thoughts? No. Again, my thoughts are under my control. I think, I remember, I imagine, I visualize, and so forth. So what is this I which says all of these things? I walk, I bath, I hate, I love, I think, I visualize. Well, we say that that I is actually rather hard to pin down. You say, I know what it is I am now, but what is this reincarnating ego? Well, I in my turn ask, do you really know what you are right now? It's elusive. What we are right at this moment is very elusive. And like water, it trickles through your fingers when you try to look at it. Well, this essential you of which I've talked is that and more besides. We talk of a reincarnating I, a reincarnating ego, which is the same I which experiences now, but of a higher order. It's a sort of father-son relationship between the two. It's you, and yet it is more than you. It is. It has at its beck and call all the skills, all the capacities, all the perceptions that it has learned over a whole series of lives. It is that same I that you feel yourself to be, but wiser, nobler, more powerful, more knowledgeable. So it's the same as you, but you writ large.
Thou soul that art the eternity of thought, that givest to forms and images a breath and everlasting motion, not in vain by day or starlight, thus from my first dawn of childhood, didst thou intertwine for me the passions that build up our human soul. Not with the mean and vulgar works of man, but with high objects, with enduring things, with life and nature, purifying thus the elements of feeling and of thought, and sanctifying by such discipline both pain and fear, until we recognize a grandeur in the beatings of the heart.
Each individual has the capacity to come to know the source of their being. And each person is doing this through a very slow, gradual, evolving process of coming to understand their creativity. I like to use the analogy of the artist. Imagine an artist who had this creative talent, but who never in his life produced one painting. Would you not have some frustration in the heart of that creativity? And so the infinite variety of this world is the canvas upon which that creativity is mastered, generated, and appreciated. And so there is an interaction, a feedback between the creation, if you like, and the creator. But the creator and the creation are always one.
There is, as it were, a spiritual growth going on, which takes place in a whole series of lives, and it's cumulative, so that the interior spiritual man is, in the limit, going to become virtually omnipotent, omniscient, and so on. He is getting more and more godlike as this process proceeds.
The ultimate point of it is the development of spirituality, the true spirit, and then the merging of your spirit with the divine. Knowledge comes partial of the way along. You need to develop your mind, you need to develop your understanding, to do your study and your training, and your self-discipline. But eventually the spirit must come through.
The whole cosmos, the whole of creation, if you like, at all levels, is one thing. One thing. Everything you see has its being within that one thing and derives its being from it in one way or another. The whole thing is an interconnected whole, and you're part of that. There is nowhere else in the universe that all the elements of your being can come from but from that one place. Like the ebb and flow of tides, the seasons of the year, waking and sleeping, work and rest, all these things are done on a cyclical basis. So our living and dying is part of that grand cyclical scheme. The alternations of life and death is part of the scheme.
So where do the great religious and philosophical teachers fit into this theosophical scheme?
Insofar as Jesus and these other great beings have become great, they have been, so to speak, through the evolutionary mill. They are the end result of this grand process of self-development. And it is said in the literature, for example, that the Lord Buddha was an example of a perfect man. He's the greatest man that's ever lived. Similarly with Jesus, it was said that he was one of the purest people that ever lived, and by reason of that became endowed with miraculous powers and so on, because he'd overcome the limitations of ordinary personality. And he again was a great teacher.
The historical individuals such as Jesus and Buddha are acknowledged to be real historical people, but they are, in a sense, the combination, the coming together of the divine element in its fullest expression within human beings. They, if you like, are the indication to us of our potential, and they show us in a historical way and in a symbolic way through their lives what is potentially the case for all of us. As it says in Scripture, in John, "Ye are gods." We should come to know this fact. We are gods in the making.